Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really taking a journey into one of New York City's most, well, vibrant and impactful underground movements. I'm talking about the legendary ballroom scene. Our mission is to, dig into the full story, how it started out of necessity, how it became this powerful, chosen family, and its kind of surprising journey to global influence. We've got articles, research, notes, all the good stuff.
Yeah, and we're going beyond just the spectacle, the glitter and the performances, as amazing as they were.
Right.
We'll really explore the deep human stories here and the lasting ways this subculture actually shaped, well, how we think about identity, community, even success, really, not just in New York, but like everywhere.
Okay, so let's unpack this right from the start. To really get the ballroom scene, we need to understand where it came from. How did this incredible world even begin?
Well, it's pretty striking, actually. The whole thing was basically born from exclusion.
Excluded.
Yeah. Think about New York in the 70s. Drag culture was big, legendary even. But it wasn't always inclusive, especially not for Black and brown queens.
Oh, okay.
They often faced rejection from, the predominantly white drag queens who didn't want to compete with them. So this kind of forced queer people of color to create their own world, their own space to shine, compete, and just be.
Right, so these balls were the answer. Competitions, mainly for Black and brown gay folks and drag queens.
Yeah.
But what was the point? Like, beyond just a party, what did it do for them?
Oh, it was so much more than a party. These balls were like a radical act of saying we matter when the rest of the world ignored them, or worse. It wasn't just about trophies, though those were important. It was about creating these whole personas, these narratives of winning, performing a better reality.
Performing reality, I like that.
And winners, they became legends. That wasn't just about winning a lot. It was about mastering a category, embodying realness or Vogue.
Yeah.
They set the standard. And younger folks, the up-and-coming or future legends, they'd look up to them, learn from them. It was a whole system of fame and success within their own community, right there in New York.
Okay, this is where it gets really, really interesting for me. Because beyond the competition, the trophies, the legends, there was something else going on, something really human.
Absolutely. That's maybe the most vital part.
Yeah.
The ballroom circuit, it provided this incredibly strong sense of family.
Family?
Yeah, especially for LGBTQ youth who were displaced, kicked out by their own families, for being gay, for being different. In the ballroom scene, they found protection, belonging, instantly.
And they didn't just call it family, they built it.
Yeah.
Like, literally.
Yeah.
These houses were created with mothers, fathers, siblings, mirroring a traditional family structure. You hear about the House of Extravaganza, probably the most famous. But it's crucial, right? This wasn't like today's celebrity creative collectives using the term house.
No, not at all. This was about survival, unconditional support, a real chosen family.
And where did this happen? Like, physically?
Yeah. Well, a key spot was Christopher Street Pier in the West Village. It had been a queer gathering place since the 70s, Just a short walk from the Stonewall Inn.
The Stonewall, right. Site of the '69 uprising.
Exactly. Sparked by homeless LGBTQ teens, trans women of color, lesbians, drag queens, fighting back against police raids. And if you watch Paris is Burning, the documentary.
Yeah, seen it. Incredible film.
You see kids living in parks, hanging out on the pier. That's where interviews happen. Balls were held nearby in public spaces. The streets were their stage, but also really dangerous.
And that danger was very real. You mentioned Paris is Burning. That heartbreaking story of Venus Extravaganza.
Yep.
A star of the film, the best daughter of her house, found strangled. It underscores the vulnerability, doesn't it?
It really does. And that wasn't, just a New York thing. The whole LGBTQ community back then understood the risks. One wrong meaning one wrong look in the real world.
Yeah. Life or death sometimes.
Exactly.
So, okay. It's born from exclusion. It creates this vital family structure, but it's also facing intense danger. How does this scene, this underground world, manage to break out and have such a huge impact on, well, everyone?
It's a fascinating turn, right? And Madonna, she plays a really key role here.
Right. Vogue.
Well, before the song even, she gets introduced to Jose Extravaganza, one of the dancers, by Debbie Mazar.
Okay.
And Madonna sees this dance style, voguing, and consciously decides to incorporate it. Releases Vogue in 1990, boom, top of the charts, huge in gay clubs, obviously. But suddenly, the whole world is seeing it.
And it wasn't just like a sample or a nod. She took Jose and Luis Camacho Extravaganza on her Blonde Ambition tour
Massive tour.
and gave them creative freedom, apparently.
Yeah.
That really put the New York ballroom scene on the map, like cemented it in the mainstream.
Yeah, it absolutely did. Now, it's a bit nuanced, this part of the story.
How so?
Well, some of the older figures in the scene, like Dorian Corey, who you also see in Paris, is burning.
Yeah, legendary.
They felt maybe Madonna was appropriating it, taking it without fully crediting the source, the struggle.
I can see that perspective.
But then you had members like the Extravaganzas themselves, Jose and Luis, who were incredibly grateful. It was their chance, to live their dreams, share their art with the world. So there were different feelings about it within the community.
That makes sense. A complex reaction.
Yeah.
But the result was massive exposure.
Undeniably. And that exposure just lit a fire. Suddenly, this local New York thing, it goes global. You start seeing balls pop up in Baltimore, LA, Paris, London.
Wow, okay. So it spread fast.
Very fast. And the cultural influence, especially on language, is huge.
Oh, yeah, you hear it all the time now.
Totally. Think about throwing shade or readings. Realness. These were core concepts, core language in the ballroom scene. You hear it constantly. In Paris is burning.
And now it's just everywhere. Mainstream culture. Especially on shows like RuPaul's Drag Race.
Exactly. Drag Race uses so much of that vernacular. Even the competition categories are similar to the original balls. Yeah.
Then you have a show like Pose,
Oh, great show.
which premiered in 2018.
Yeah.
It basically uses Paris is Burning as a blueprint, right?
Yeah.
To tell a story of the New York scene, but also connecting it to the bigger fight for LGBTQ plus rights for inclusion globally.
Yeah.
It shows how deep those roots go.
It's easy to just focus on the flash, the performance, the language.
Yeah.
But what's the core truth maybe we miss sometimes? The strength underneath it all.
I think what often gets overlooked, maybe overshadowed by all the vibrancy, is the deep sadness. The immense struggle that so many people in that scene faced every single day.
Yeah.
But the scene itself, the balls, the houses, that's what allowed them to lift each other up.
Yeah.
When literally nobody else would.
Yeah.
It was their lifeline.
That dedication. You hear about the house mothers and fathers, like from Extravaganza, Ninja, Saint Laurent. They really understood their role was crucial. And they would put themselves on the line, truly defend their chosen families. That's profound commitment. It really is. And you have to see it in the context of New York City, too. New York has always been a trendsetter, right? Since the beginning.
Sure.
So the effects of the ballroom scene, they're baked into New York history, into American gay history. It pushed things forward for LGBTQ youth, for queer people of color, changed perspectives in ways we're probably still unpacking today.
What an incredible arc. From deep exclusion and danger to chosen families, self-expression, and ultimately changing the culture on a massive scale. It's quite a story.
It truly is, and it makes you think, doesn't it? Considering how the ballroom scene provided such an essential sense of family, of belonging, right in the face of intense rejection and danger, what does that tell us about how vital chosen communities are, especially when people face marginalization? And maybe, what creative ways are people finding now? What forms of self-expression, of support are emerging today in response to modern exclusion? Forms that maybe we haven't even fully recognized yet.